And now I think there's a lot of people who voted for Kamala that kind of wish he would have won in 2020, because I think he's more culturally ascendant and powerful in 2025 than he ever would have been as a second-term president in 2021. If you really kind of go and look at Congress and what it wouldn't have had a majority in the House or probably the Senate either, he would have been severely curtailed. Now he's hitting the ground running and undertaking a lot of aggressive actions.
Oh yeah, it would have been a continuation of kind of that chaos it looked like from the outside, with everyone just fighting and continuing that resistance. It would have been just a continuation of that for another 4 years. But now with this 4-year break, and for people to see what the other side, what the results are from, and it allows him to then grow more powerful. And Americans love the underdog. I mean, we love the underdog story. And then we also, weirdly, we like the person on top to fall. So it's a very strange thing. It's a very odd thing.
Well, you get that as an author. The character arc of someone matters, right? If you just have success the whole book, it's the worst book ever, right? I mean, nobody wants to root for happily ever after on the first page, right? Nobody wants to watch a movie like that. You have to have, every character has to have in some way a challenge, an antagonist, either in person or situation. And I think over time, people respect fighting spirit, even if they don't necessarily agree with you on everything. And the other thing I'll say about Trump is he told us exactly what he was going to do, right? He wasn't sugarcoating, he wasn't hiding. He said, here's what I'm going to do if I'm in office. And now he's doing something that's a little bit radical, exactly what he said he would do. And I think people respect that, because what I've found, you're a guy who was out on the front, like you were taking the shrapnel, honestly, and literally the bullets. What I find is a lot of politicians don't want to ever be on the front lines. And that's kind of surprised me about what I do now. They want to hide back, let other people charge the hill. And then when it's safe, they want to stick their heads up, because that's how you get reelected. You know, if you don't take big risk, you kind of stay behind the vanguard. You show up and you celebrate in victory, but you never risk defeat. It feels to me like there are a lot of people in politics who are like that. For better or worse, Trump's trying to storm the hill. And you know this, the way he reacted when he got shot is like Hollywood style. You couldn't even make that scene up. We would watch it in a movie and not believe it was real. But I think that gave you the essence of him as a fighter. And it became really hard to attack him and claim that he was anything other than what he represented. You've been under fire. Most people haven't. To stand up like that in that moment is a degree of bravery that, frankly, is very rare in the country. And I think, you know, for an Elon Musk, a Jeff Bezos, and a Mark Zuckerberg, I think they decided to vote for him then and there when they saw that reaction. I think men everywhere, and a lot of women too.
Yeah, no, that was incredible to see that. It's almost like you had to think about it ahead of time.
No doubt.
He didn't. You know that he didn't. You know that it was so real and raw and authentic. I mean, you can't not respect that. I wrote down a couple things from the speech. I don't know if they were from the speech, but just a couple of things like common sense here. America first. No more bad financial deals. No more American blood in foreign entanglements. No more men in women's restrooms. No more men playing in women's sports. No more DEI hires. Merit-based. Become energy independent. Have a surplus. Use tariffs. Have borders again. All those things are common sense. Very hard to argue against, especially when you have the last 4 years to look at and see how things go when you do the opposite of these things. But when you were there watching that speech, what stood out to you? And also, oh my gosh, having Biden sit there and Harris sit there, have to take that. I mean, that was wild. But then when you looked at all those faces and you saw Bill Clinton, he was like respect. It was amazing to see the difference in Bill Clinton's face compared to everybody else on that side. He was like looking like he was kind of had this smile, this smirk, and he was kind of nodding his head, like respecting what was going on up there, where everyone else was just sitting there kind of just taking the heavies.
We've had an era that has lasted for far too long where people wanted to attack American weakness and America's moral authority and focus on the things that we have done that are imperfect. And every country, every individual, every group does things that are imperfect, right? We all are flawed in some way. So American history is not all a tremendous success. But what it does is, and I really do believe this, is bend towards justice. I really do. Over time, America has gotten more and more right every single year, every single day. And I think that story is important. I think the narrative that we tell to kids about America matters a great deal. And I think what Trump has seen, and I think what ultimately he's repudiating is the idea that America should apologize for its past. And we should focus more on what we're going to do in the future.
If you enjoyed that clip, watch the full episode here or another clip here.